with ideas, continues to explore that thing called consciousness that lives actively within each and every one of us. And so whatever needs to be spoken is spoken, whatever needs to be heard is heard, and whatever needs to be learned is learned. Because we know we are on that endless journey of opening our hearts, our minds, our soul to the gifts from God, the gifts from the Christ that lives within. And so we open up to receive so that we might in turn reach out to others so that they too will receive and know the beauty of the divine that lives within. And so I just give great thanks. Thanks for all that is in each and every one of our lives. Thanks for that which is to be, that which we are reaching out to understand and to know. And thanks for this gathering today. And so I just let this go. I let it be, knowing it is already done in mind, in love, and in law. And so it is. Amen.
And so it is. And so it is. Thank you so much, Reverend Eileen.
You're
I'm so
welcome.
glad, Nancy, now you can hear us. And I'm so grateful Reverend Pat is joining us today, and Sherry's joining us, and all of you are joining us. Do you want to press record? You're recording already, Pat. Thank you. Did we catch that?
Brilliant.
We caught most of the treatment. I suddenly realized maybe I should hit record. So here we go.
Thank you. I think you and I probably did at the same time. So I'm so delighted to be here with everybody in this moment and see our beautiful, beautiful faces. Life is happening. It's happening around the world, and the world is a world of wonder. And every day we get to see that completely. So today we're talking about consciousness. And as you heard me say earlier, consciousness is the sum total of everything that we believe. Who do we have on? There we go. Beautiful. So every day, this world reminds us of its incredible beauty. I'm looking outside and it's raining right now where I am. I don't know what's happening where you are, but we're heading into a season of change. So this world, it reminds us through its beauty, it astounds us, it teaches us, and it touches us. But it also warns us, because if we want to make a difference with ourselves and within the world, we need to start with our thinking, and our thinking is coming through as that consciousness. So we want to start with, where do we start? Where do we start? We start with yourself. Yes? Okay. Your beliefs, thanks, Sherry. Your beliefs don't make you a better person, believe it or not, but your beliefs combined with your behavior and your action does make your life experiences a better person and outpicturing for your life in a different way. So now is the time for us to think about all of the things that we want to do. We want to love humanity. We want to open up our relationship to ourselves. We want to love ourselves. We want to love everyone around us. But what's required is letting go of ego and allowing our conscious, on purpose thoughts to manifest itself on purpose, on time, into our life. So we have to think about, what is our thoughts? If you're thinking, I'm being punished, if you're thinking, I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving, we know that that's what's going to show up in your life. And talking to Reverend Eileen earlier this morning about the financial freedom class, what you pay attention to is what comes back into your life, what comes into your heart, and is that outpicturing. So now you're tying in your thoughts and your actions, which make up that belief pattern and move you forward in your life or keep you stagnant and where you are. So because today is going to be conversation with all of us, I want to open up the floor at this moment, and then I'm going to turn to Reverend Pat. If you have any thoughts or ideas about what you believe in, what you believe consciousness is, how you believe you can attract what you want into your life. So I got a lot of people on here who I know, and I'm hoping that our attitude is that we start jumping in and not waiting for me to corner you and unmute you. Okay, that's okay. That's all right. It's Froggy Fridays. Everything is happening. Miss Pat, do you have anything to share about consciousness?
Well, there is a lot to share about consciousness. So I know that this
Uh-huh.
conversation is going to unfold in absolute perfection. But I think the key thing is awareness. The key
Ah,
thing is awareness. And I know that all of us here right now and all of us listening are on that journey of awareness. And yes, self-awareness is key. Self-awareness is very important. Like the more you know yourself, the more you understand yourself, the more you recognize what your beliefs are and what your values are, and the more you recognize that at any given moment, you have an opportunity to change your mind about whatever those beliefs are or whatever those values are. Because often, especially as adults, right, once we've got past being those wonderful, delightful children that just look at the world with so much excitement and so much joy, once we become adults, we've established certain patterns in our life. And some of those patterns have served us really, really, really well. And some of them have not served us very well. So we need to have an awareness of what they are. And I think Barb mentioned something about forgiveness. Right? So the first person we need to forgive is ourselves. And as we forgive ourselves, right, and stop beating ourselves up for whatever, right, and to just begin to love ourselves and look after ourselves, right? And doing this all, of course, in alignment with spirit, with God, the universe, whatever word you choose, right, is the only way, I think, to move us along, to move us into expanding our consciousness. As we understand ourselves better, we get a bigger idea of who we are. We get a bigger idea of what love means. We get a bigger idea of what forgiveness means. We get bigger ideas about everything, and it just keeps growing and expanding. And so I'm like so thrilled to be connecting with people on the other side of the world,
huh.
that are growing and expanding their consciousness. It warms my heart so much. I always knew that it was going on, but when you actually have contact with people and you see that happening, like how exciting is that? I know there is a lot more to be said, but I just wanted to bring up that whole idea of awareness. And how are you growing your awareness? How are you expanding your awareness? What are you going to do today that's going to give you a bigger idea of who you are, of who the people in your immediate world are, and of what the whole world is about? Like getting that vision of a world that works for everyone. So I'm wondering if anybody would like to share what they think, what they're going to do today or in the next 24 hours, because it's nighttime there. So what are you going to do tomorrow when you get up and start your day? What are you going to do that's going to give you a bigger idea?
I love that question, Pat. I love that question. When I start my day, I before I even put my feet on the ground, when I get out of bed, I do an affirmation. I do a quick God is, I am. Thank you for this day that I don't even know is going to happen, but I know it unfolds in perfection. And that quick little awareness, you're talking about awareness, just that quick little awareness puts me into an alignment, with myself. First off, before my feet even hit the ground, it puts me in alignment with my love for humanity. And you're talking about, reaching over the miles and miles to be with our Kenyan family and community and beyond. We've got California online today. We've got Colorado online. So our love that has set that platform. So we're creating a space for humanity. And when I do that, I create a space for the creator that is co-creating my life with me, that I choose to call God, Spirit, One. And in essence, what I'm doing is creating and setting my intention for life itself in that moment. So I love that you say, what are you going to do tomorrow? And then as each moment unfolds, there are times when I feel like there are times when I feel like I've just forgotten who I am, what my intention was, who I said I would be, and I collapse into chaos. I collapse into drama. I collapse into the I just saw Nancy write, what do I need to do to forgive? Be gentle with yourself in that moment, because awareness is curative. So when you know you have to allow yourself to forgive, you allow that bigger idea to come in. If you're trying to forgive yourself, and Reverend Eileen, I'm going to ask you to be spontaneous again, because I know you get forgiveness on a whole other level, because you teach it to so beautifully well. It's you start, allow yourself to be gentle with yourself. You've set that platform for yourself, Nancy, and you continue to replace that hurt or anger or fear with the truth and those values of God. Because if we believe that God is loving, kind, forgiving, patient, gentle, creative, expressive, and so much more, and we are co-creating our life with Spirit, then you too have those qualities. So it's just about tapping into those qualities to allow yourself forgiveness. Reverend Eileen, can you chime in? You're muted.
You want me to talk about forgiveness or consciousness or both?
Yes, go tag.
Well, you know, when you were talking about consciousness, I immediately went to one of my favorite books, which is The Revealing World. And part of the reason why I like this, and anybody who's going to be a ministerial student, this is a book that you may want to go online and try and download to yourself. You know, see if you can't get it. I don't know if it's in an ebook or not, but it is by Charles Fillmore, who was the founder of Unity. And Charles Fillmore and his wife were trained by Emma Curtis Hopkins, as was Ernest Holmes. And one of the reasons why I like this is Ernest, you know, and I immediately went to my textbook, to look up consciousness. And Ernest, I love Ernest. However, sometimes he just doesn't use everyday language. So I looked up consciousness, and I want to read this to you. There is a divine goodness at the root of all existence. It is not necessary to give in detail the place of abode of each sentiment, part of this central goodness, for it is there, wherever you look and wherever you look and whenever you look. No man is so lowly that at the touch of its secret spring, this divine goodness may be brought to light in him. So now we know that consciousness is within. This goodness sleeps in the recesses of every mind and comes forth when least expected. Many strive it for years, maybe for ages, but eventually its day comes and there is a day of reckoning. This is the law of universal balance, the equilibrium of being. Whoever has felt the prick of consciousness has been spoken to by the Holy Spirit. Whoever has sat at the feet of his own inner convictions has been aware of God's presence. So let me ask you guys a question. Have you ever been doing something and somebody told us you just felt within, no, I'm not supposed to go there. No, I'm not supposed to do that. No, I shouldn't buy this, or I should buy this. Have any of you had that experience? Christine, you're nodding your head. Tell me about that, would you? Unmute yourself and tell me about that. Tell me what the experience was.
maybe at some point you want to go somewhere and you are in a rush, and then maybe I'm standing on the street waiting for the bus, and then a bus comes, and or a matatu, we call it a matatu, comes, and then you feel like you don't want to get into that matatu, and then you wait for another one, and then when it comes, you just go and find that the first one that you didn't get inside, maybe it has just caused an accident, or
Yep.
it has been arrested by the police. So I've been in such a situation.
Good example. You know, when in 1986, I went to the World's Fair in British Columbia, in Vancouver. And this one day we got to our normal parking place, and I realized that we didn't have our tickets with us. So we had to go all the way back to the place that we were staying to get the tickets, which was about a half an hour away. And as we were driving, I said, you know what, why don't we just explore Vancouver today? Why don't we just go out throughout the city and see what's here? And the individual I was with said, no, we need to do this. We need to go. We need to be part of, we've got a 3-day ticket. We need to use it today. And so when we came back that night, when the World's Fair had closed, somebody had broken into our VW van that we were camping in. They stole over $2,000 worth of our belongings. They took our sleeping bags. They took our money. They took our purses. They took all of this stuff out. And yet I knew innately that morning that we should not go into the fair that day. And I didn't listen to the intuition that was within me, which was the consciousness that lived within. So much like what you're talking about, Christine, we get those feelings and we need to pay attention to them, because intuition is what? It's God speaking in and to us. It's our consciousness that's picking up spirit, that's saying don't or do or yes or no. Does that make sense to everybody? That's what consciousness, to me, that's what consciousness is all about. And then you talked about forgiveness. Well, what is forgiveness? Forgiveness is forgiving the act. All right. Or rather, forgiving the person. It doesn't mean that the act that they did was right. For example, rape or stealing or murder. We can forgive the individual. We don't have to condone the act or whatever it was that they did. So that's the key there. And what happens is when we're forgiving the other person, what we're also doing is forgiving ourselves. I used to go into prisons here in California and Nevada and Oregon, and we had an exercise that we would do, and we would always look for one individual that had really done something horrific and horrendous. And usually we found somebody who had murdered somebody else. And we would have them stand across from the other person as though they were the individual that had been murdered, and ask the person that they had murdered for forgiveness.
Wow.
The transformation was unbelievable. And then after we demonstrated that, we had people go out and in the group go out and say, will you be my mother? Will you be my sister? Will you be my husband? Will you be whomever? And then ask for forgiveness. And the other person's, all their response was, yes, I forgive you. And so you need to do that with yourself by looking in the mirror and saying, I forgive you for X, Y, Z. And say that to yourself for whatever it is that you feel you need to be forgiven from or for.
Wow. Thank you, Reverend Eileen. We're so blessed to have you online today. You know, thinking about the mirror doesn't lie, right?
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. I
I
love
wanted to add a little bit to that. What I know to be true is that the person that I am today in this moment is not the person that made the mistake before.
That's
I
right.
am not the person that made the mistake before. When I made the mistake, I was doing the best that I could do at that time with what I knew. Every moment, every day, when you wake up tomorrow morning, after a great night's sleep tonight, you are transformed. You are a new person. So you're forgiving. Is that in there?
No, I just wanted to, I thought you paused and I was ready to jump in.
I was just pausing for the cause to let it sink in, right? I could see a little bit of nodding. Does this help you, Nancy? Because you were the one that asked the question. Is this helpful? Good. That's what we want to know. Yeah. Go ahead, Eileen.
Well, this is again from the Revealing Word. And he says forgiveness, a process of giving up the false for the truth, easing error from the mind and the body. And I'm just going to read some highlighted ones. True forgiveness is only established through renewing the mind and body, which is just what Pat talked about, with thoughts and words of truth, and truth is with a capital T. It is through forgiveness that true spiritual healing is accomplished. And I know too, going back to consciousness, all of you know the story, I'm sure, of when, Christ was being crucified, or Jesus was being crucified. And Peter had said to Christ, or Jesus, I will never, ever forget you. I will never, ever deny you. And Jesus said to him, you will deny me 3 times before the cock crows, meaning the rooster. What happens in that, if we look at that the cock crowing is the awakening of our consciousness. Because Peter had an aha moment when the cock crowed. It was like, oh my God, in his consciousness, he had denied Jesus Christ. So just that gives you something to think about the next time you see a rooster go, oh, is my consciousness growing? Cock-a-doodle-doo. But seriously, that's what that was. When we look at the Bible in a metaphysical way, we have to understand that that's what's transpiring. Our consciousness is being woken up through the cock crowing.
Wow.
I don't know if I'm going where you want me to go, Barb.
I love this. This day is a day that's just taking off, and I love the spontaneity behind it. And I set my consciousness today, just so you know, for this moment to be spontaneous and free. So we're all part of that.
Yeah.
I love that. Patrick, do you have any questions? You always have a question or a comment. We love your comments. If you can hear me, Patrick, you're muted. Or Paul, feel free to jump in. Okay, so people are just listening today. Well, we've had some good food for thought. We've had some good food for thought and sharing. Nancy, do you have any further questions about forgiveness? Okay.
She was busy taking notes. I could see her writing.
Yeah, she's writing away there. I can see that too.
So that's great.
So I like to feel in my consciousness, I always say I attract all good things into my life. And I also say that the power of my faith enhances my personal experiences in health, in creativity, fulfillment, passion, anything that I want to throw in there. That's part of my confirmation and affirmation of my creative source sharing with spirit, knowing that I'm in a constant state of perfection and sharing. And even when I'm not in that state of perfection, like I said earlier, I fall short. I do my intention before I put my feet on the ground, and then I get a telephone call and all heck breaks loose. And the day has just erupted. Yesterday was kind of one of those days. My daughter-in-law called me in a panic at 8 o'clock in the morning saying that my son, her husband, had taken the wrong vehicle because it didn't have the car seat. She had to take the kids to school. So she was just, and Thursdays are her day off, and it's her day to clean and tidy and organize and get creative and paint. She's a painter. And so right away, we just did a treatment right away for foundation and just setting everything clear in her mind. My son came back with the car seat. They were able to take the kids to school. And she was able to get her house tidy and clean. In that panicked moment, she had to reach out. And that's what we're learning to do. That's what I've had to learn to do. I have often just brooded in my own chaos. I have often just sat in my mire and allowed myself to have pity parties, to wallow and just make things worse and worse. What we need to do and what we're learning and what I've learned in my life is to reach out. And we share our life with people who are experts in areas where we need help. My daughter-in-law knows how to pray. She knows how to treat. She knows how to, but she needed support to see clarity. I know how I feel about forgiveness and how I feel about consciousness, but I also know Reverend Eileen is an expert as well. And yes, you are. And so I get to reach out to her. I get to reach out to Pat, who has her perspective. And so when Reverend Pat asked you today, what are you going to do tomorrow in the next 24 hours to set your life in a different trajectory of fulfillment, of ease, of grace, of goodness? What will you do? We have to mindfully, consciously, purposefully set our intentions. And so today I'm setting my intention as I carry on my day, which is a busy weekend as we head into so much life that's happening. Doors are opening, bells are ringing, food's being served, love is being shared, all those things. How are you going to look at your life purposefully, consciously, and with intention in this moment as we carry on? Those are the questions that we leave with you. It's one of those days. What's the weather like right now where you are? I told you it was raining here. It's quite wet as I look out my window. And I want to know, are the fires subsided in California where you are, Reverend Eileen?
Around us, yes, we still have fires going. We're going to be in the high 80s today. So it's sunny out. We have wind, which is damaging for the fires, and the humidity is low. We need high humidity because of the fires. But the sad part about this is we still have 2 more months to go where the fires will be potential, because the one I worked on so extensively was the Camp Fire, and it started November 8th and it took us into December. So yeah, so fortunately I don't have to be out with my, what we call an N95 mask, which is an extra duty heavy mask that we have to wear when it's so bad, more than what we just wear for the coronavirus. So I haven't been in a mask for a few days now when I've been walking and stuff, because it's clear.
So you could use some of the rain that I'm getting here. You could use some.
Oh, absolutely. And the Farmer's Almanac has already predicted that it's going to be a dry year for us again.
So if we are all connected, if we're all connected like we know we are, we can, our beliefs can send this damp experience that we're having to nurture and subside the fires where Reverend Eileen is. We can know that. And I want to ask you, Sherry, are you having snow already in Colorado? Can't hear you.
We are up in the mountains, but not where I live in the foothills. But it has gotten pretty chilly.
Okay. Will you send some of that chilliness my way? I'm ready to get out of t-shirts and be in flannels.
So to our family, Agnes and Christine and Paul and Nancy, you're on. Somebody please chime in. What is weather like where you are right now?
Right now where I am, it is raining. Like
Okay.
when Reverend Barb says it is raining, and then it started raining here, and I was like, oh my God. So it's raining.
So this is a pure, and I imagine Reverend Pat, you're having much of what I'm having here. We're so close together. To me, this is a pure demonstration of how we can train our consciousness, how we can be aware of our consciousness, that how one part of the world needs one thing, and how we can share what we have. Now, physically, I can't carry the rain over to Reverend Eileen. I can't bring the snow down. I can, and have a blanket of snow. I can't stop the rains in Kenya. But what I can do is feel just like a mother who loves her child. I can wrap my arms, my treatments, my prayer, my thoughts, my consciousness around your desires and share my truth with you, which is my truth is you are safe, you are well, the fires have subsided, the rains are nurturing our gardens, our bounty. There are so many ways that you can think of things in a different way when things are hardships, when things are negative, when they're challenging. We can change our consciousness, and it's just like a switch, a flick of a switch. I can't physically change and send the rain to Reverend Eileen, but I can physically, mentally, intellectually, and spiritually know the truth. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? All right. Well, I don't want to make Reverend Pat late. What I do want to do, though, is I want to thank you for joining us today. We're trying to grow this platform. And I know that I have Christine comes often, and Patrick comes often, and, Paul, we see you pop in, and Nancy, we see you pop in. We would like to see this platform grow. Today was a very different program than we usually have. We usually do some singing, we do some affirmations and things like that. I wasn't even sure we were going to get you guys on today. So I'm really happy to see everyone. But when we have a session that starts on the hour, I would love for you to be here on the hour. I know life is happening everywhere. But my consciousness says we get to start on time. We get to do and share and have this full hour to be together and fill up as much conversation and sharing and spirituality and love as we possibly can. So that's what my consciousness is holding. And our next Froggy Friday is actually, and I know you don't celebrate Halloween, but that's on my date, 30th, October 30th. Reverend Gwen and I are both going to be sharing with you. And we're going to talk a little bit about the shadow self, since Halloween, I know, is a pagan holiday and you don't celebrate it there. We have lots of kids and people who dress up here for Halloween, but we're wearing masks, just like Reverend Eileen showed you, and 95 masks and a different kind of masks. We're going to talk about the masks that we're hiding behind. And if that feels like something that you'd like to discuss, if you'd like to share, if you'd like to receive, we would love for you to please join us on that day on the hour, and come. We're always here 15 minutes early. And I know that life happens, as I said, life happens, but we are perfectly on time, in the right place at the right time with the right people. Yes, thumbs up. An extraordinary gratitude to Reverend Pat for coming and chiming in with me today. Reverend Eileen, I could just sit and listen and share life with you forever. I'm so grateful we're connected. And to all of my Kenyan family and my North American family that joined us today, my heart just thinks of you in my treatments, in my consciousness, in my joy, in my excitement, in my acceleration for life, my concern, my acrobatic moments, my singing. I'm thinking about you. I want you to know I'm thinking about you all the time. So I'll let you go. Know that you are loved, you are blessed, you are appreciated. And Christine, we'll see you tomorrow for ministerial class. And everyone else that's signing on for all those other classes, stuff at life is happening. So you be well and stay blessed and know you are loved and treasured. You can stop recording.
Barb, would you hold for me and talk to me for just a second?
Yes, I would love that.
Okay.